In the mid-2000s, the NBA was dominated by dynasties like the San Antonio Spurs and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Portland Trailblazers, once a strong contender in the 90s, had struggled in the new millennium. After missing the playoffs for several years, the Blazers were searching for a new face to lead them back to prominence.
Blazers and some of their fans will point to a non-call late in the game. You can go back to well before that, because the Blazers had a chance to win this and they gave it away.
Years of mediocrity in Portland had finally come to an end in 2006, courtesy of a young star from Washington. A player who looked destined to lead the franchise for the next decade. This player would burst onto the NBA scene, even being regarded by the legendary Kobe Bryant as one of the hardest players he ever had to guard.
That's a bad boy. And, I think making it the second time just kind of solidifies yourself in terms of being one of the premier players in the league.
For a moment, it seemed like the Blazers had finally found their savior. But in a twist that nobody saw coming, the hope faded as quickly as it appeared. This is the story of Brandon Roy, a forgotten star of the NBA. Born and raised in Seattle, Washington, Brandon Roy grew up with basketball in his blood. He played at Garfield High School, where he quickly gained a reputation as one of the best young talents in the entire region.
I got so many, basketball memories, just from playing high school, college, and NBA. But, I always tell people the funnest time I had was playing high school basketball.
In high school, we had 7 to 8 Division I guys on our team. As a sophomore, Brandon swung and went junior varsity. As a junior, he played varsity, and he was really good, but still people didn't know how good he was. And then once we all left and he was a senior, he was the best player probably on the West Coast.
Despite his skills on the court, Roy struggled in the classroom, held back by a learning disability that made many wonder if he'd be able to make it to college. In fact, at one point, Brandon found himself working in shipyards for $11 an hour, a backup plan in case things didn't work out on the court. However, after a standout high school career, Roy still found himself being recruited by teams across the country, and would eventually elect to stay close to home, committing to the University of Washington.
There have been so many players to come out of the Seattle area that have been successful. But Brandon was just different in that he was the local kid that stayed home.
Roy would go down as one of the top players in program history at the University of Washington. His versatility, basketball IQ, and calm demeanor under pressure made him stand out as one of the top prospects in his class. And by his senior season, Roy was named Pac-10 Player of the Year and a consensus All-American.
I had a chance to really sit down with Coach Romar. He said, if you come to college, I'll do everything I can in my power to make you a good basketball player, but I'll also try to help make you a better person. After I had that conversation with him, I was totally set on, hey, I want to go to college and I want to develop as a player and as a better person.
It was clear that he had the talent to make an immediate impact in the NBA. Special thanks to the sponsor of this project. If you're a renter, I'd like to introduce you to Built. Here's the thing, we earn points on groceries, travel, and practically everything else we buy. But we also should be earning points on rent, one of our biggest monthly expenses. Built changed the game by letting renters earn high-value points on rent. Points you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness memberships, and even your next rent payment. Let me put y'all on game. Built is a loyalty program that has been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't even heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Built points toward. Points can also be redeemed towards a future rent payment, and unique experiences that only built members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points right now when you sign up for Built Rewards through the link in my description or the QR code on your screen. And make sure to use my URL so they know I sent you. In 2006, after being selected number 6 overall by the Minnesota Timberwolves, Brandon Roy would be traded on draft night, finding a new home with the Portland Trailblazers.
And multiple sources have told us that Minnesota and Portland will swap the 6 and the 7 picks. So that means Brandon Roy going from Minnesota to Portland.
From day one, Roy made it clear that he was special. He won Rookie of the Year honors, and over the next few seasons, quickly established himself as one of the premier guards in the NBA.
Seeing him, just like how poised he was coming in his rookie year, was just unbelievable. Like he already had matched up with them guys that's already top tier. He was a rookie.
Right.
And we only got to play a couple seasons together, but seeing that, what he did, them seasons I was there, it was unbelievable.
Known for his smooth shooting, explosive drives to the basket, and his ability to take over games in the clutch,
Roy got the defender in the air, hit the three, tied at 97.
Roy became the heart and soul of the Blazers. By 2009, Brandon had become one of the top young players in the league, averaging over 22 points per game and being named to the All-NBA second team.
I mean, it's always been a dream to make the All-Star game, and I've been watching since I was a kid, so if I was able to be a part of it, it'd be a dream come true.
I mean, there's guys playing this league 10, 20 years and then haven't accomplished this. So, I mean, this feeling is great. I mean, I still don't understand, how much this means. I guess I gotta wait till I'm putting on that jersey and sitting in the locker room with Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan and all.
As he led the Blazers in a return to the playoffs.
Can he be the lift that Portland so desperately needs? Roy on the inside, flashback. It's a 4-point game. Dallas was up 23 here in game 4. Roy for the lead, banks it in. 84-82.
Portland fans rallied behind him, seeing Roy as the hope for a new era of Blazers basketball.
Oh, you that hoe. Just tell these about Brandon Roy.
Man, what?
Yeah. You talk.
Everybody go YouTube Brandon Roy's top 10 plays. You would be amazed at what this man used. And it was so easy to him. Like, literally, they called him the natural because everything just came easy to him.
Roy's connection with fans wasn't just about his play. He was humble, hardworking, and embodied the underdog spirit that Portland had resonated with for decades.
When I get tired, I'm thinking, the other players aren't getting tired. So I try to imagine that they're just, at this high level, and I gotta do whatever it takes to get there. So if I'm the last guy in the gym, that's good for me. If I'm the first guy here, that's even better. But it's always about getting better and doing whatever I can to get there. The best players in the league work the hardest, and that's in any sport. That's in anything where you compete. It doesn't matter. The best work the hardest. And again, I know Kobe's working. I know LeBron's working because those guys are always setting goals for themselves. And for me, that's great to have them there because now, I got something to shoot for. And they have legacies they want to shoot for, which keep them driving. So again, I'm like, Kobe's not gonna be tired. So I got to keep pushing. I got to get stronger because in the fourth quarter, they're gonna only get stronger. And hopefully, I'm right there with them.
But just as he reached the peak with a bright future ahead, things started to unravel.
We have a Blazer down, and that is Brandon Roy.
This time he's holding his right leg.
Hassel rolled right up on Brandon's right knee.
As quickly as he had risen to the top of the NBA, things would begin to fall apart for the young star. Knee injuries, caused by a degenerative condition, began to plague Roy early in his career. Despite multiple surgeries and attempts to return to full strength, Roy's body just couldn't keep up with the demands of NBA competition.
And before I had those surgeries, there was a lot of questions because it was just painful and stressful to be playing like that. So to be able to come back and play and and contribute, in a playoff game and in playoff games it's big for me. It's big for my confidence, especially going forward.
After multiple surgeries, including a last-ditch effort to revive his career with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
So what was so appealing about the situation here in Minnesota?
Well, the first thing was, I think, their belief in me, coming back from, I think, a situation where most doctors said, Brandon Roy should be done playing basketball. And they were excited. It was like, man, we gotta make this push to get you in Minnesota.
Shot clock down under 5, in the corner for 3 for Roy, and he knocks down the triple.
When you assess yourself, personally, it's up here.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, if it's a little lower, then how do you sort of adjust to that?
Yeah, I think the biggest step was actually not playing last year, because sitting there, I said, okay, look, you may not be the player you were, your first 4 or 5 years in the league. But I think the only way you can move on from that is accepting it. And when I finally was able to accept that, that's when I said, okay, now I want to play basketball.
It became clear that Roy's time in the league was coming to an end. By 2011, just over a year after he had been considered one of the brightest stars in the league, Brandon was forced to retire at just 27 years old, the age most players are just entering their prime.
We right now are covering a basketball tragedy. Brandon Roy, after just 5 years in the NBA, forced to retire, lacking cartilage in both knees. This is just a gigantic bummer as we start the 2011-12 season.
As you would say, it's a buzzkill. Great guy, worked hard. Unfortunately, the injuries shortened his career. Just pretty much one of those things where you pray for him. Hopefully, the next phase of his life is better.
It's one of those injuries that regardless of what sport you're close to, you feel for someone that has to go through something like this. A young guy in his prime, he still wants it, but his body just can't hold up.
Brandon Roy's career may have been cut short, but his impact on the NBA and the Portland Trailblazers endures.
I played the whole game against Brandon Roy. I'm getting cooked. You get what I'm saying? I mean, I scored 14. It's Brandon Roy. See, and I'm not trying to ward this down. Bro, the kids gotta know, Brandon, to me, everything Brandon, he was like Kobe, bro.
He was insane.
He was a 3-time All-Star, a leader, and a player whose grace and resilience inspired fans. Though injuries robbed him of a longer career, Roy is still remembered by those who watched him as one of the most skilled and beloved players of his era. Today, fans still wonder what could have been had Roy been able to play out his entire career. While it's easy to get caught up in the way his NBA journey ended, we can now look back and appreciate what Brandon Roy gave the game. In just 5 seasons, he left a legacy that still holds true to this day. A testament to just how good the kid from Seattle was. A player who gave his all to the game and made an impact that deserves to be remembered by future generations.